Hello everyone. Now that the War Within is launched, I have noticed an uptick in people trying to solo Shadowlands raids and having issues. Therefore, I have made this guide for soloing all of Shadowlands Mythic. However, this time I will keep it brief, so I won't be talking about bosses or abilities that can be easily overgeared, only what can kill you and what you need to know in order to down the bosses. Now, covenants, which are the Shadowlands borrowed power, are no longer mandatory except for certain classes on Kel'thuzad. If you do not have enough survivability or damage, for example, you are on an undergeared alt, then you might want to make sure to get the Necrolord Covenant, Soulbind with Plague Divisor Marileth, and you will get a strong defensive, increased damage, and an anti-stun. I already explained how to get the Necrolord Covenant in my previous guide, therefore you can check the link in the description if you need more information. However, it seems that it is very difficult to get a Covenant on a level 80 character who hasn't already unlocked it. When I have more information, I will put it in the comments. The first raid is Castle Nathria. One annoying thing is that there are a lot of closed doors, so when you find one, you will have to kill the trash in the room in order to open it. As a reminder, we will not be covering the bosses where the strategy is hit it until it dies, nor the abilities where ignoring the strategy doesn't kill you. Kael'thas. Even if you do not have any healing, he is extremely easy. This is because the Weaver Cloth Bandage is extremely powerful. Simply kill trash until the Soul Infusers spawn. When they do, kill them, take their orbs in order to get the healing buff, and then bandage Kael'thas. Just make sure not to be interrupted. You will only have to bandage him twice and then you win. He also has a shield, but when it breaks it only deals 3 million damage, so you should survive it. Xy'mox is actually a dangerous boss. First, you want to avoid his traps, or you will be stunned until you are mind controlled, and make sure to never do him with a pet, because if you are mind controlled and you have a pet, you are completely stuck. If you are stuck, you will have to use the character stuck feature in order to save yourself. However, this doesn't really reset the boss. When it happened to me, I had to leave the instance for 30 minutes in order for the boss to reset. So just don't use a pet. Now you just need to avoid the mind control. So when the phantom spawns, either run away and kite it or use an immunity. Make sure to be on the edge of the room when you start in order to make sure you have enough room. For the Council of Blood, you will sometimes have a debuff that kills you if you don't jump, so make sure to jump 3 times before it expires. And kill the ad. Just a little tip, if you kill the boss before he gets to the other side of the room, you can interrupt the Dance Macabre and don't have to do all the intermission. On the Stone Legion generals, do not kill the ads except during the intermission. Just get the boss to 50%, kill the ads, take their orbs and get it to your friends, kill one little ad, take its orb, and then you will get to phase 2. For Denathrius, you can just completely ignore all mechanics and kill him. Even if you fail the intermission, it will not kill you, and then, during phase 2, just blast him until he dies. The second raid is the Sanctum of Domination. The first boss, the Tarragrue, has a 30-second stun, which can be quite a problem. However, the solution is quite easy. Equip an adaptation PvP trinket. This way you will break free of the first stun. Then on the second stun you can use either the Necrolord ability or an immunity. Then you will have the trinket back for the third stun, and if you have a fourth stun Here again, immunity or Necrolord. If you are struggling on this boss, you may want to kill the 4 infused Goliaths which are around his room, which give you anima powers. These anima powers can increase your damage, survivability, or make you immune to stuns. You can also remove your anima powers and get new ones. However, it takes time, so if you can just charge on the boss and kill him, it's faster. To spawn the next boss, you will have to clear the entire room. Just be careful with the most worn shacklers, since they will try to drag you off the platform, so kill them before they hit you with their cast. On the Eye of the Jailer, the only dangerous ability is the drag. Now, most times it will miss you, so you don't exactly know when it will finally hit you, but when it does, you will be grabbed and you will fall to your death. So you can use a speed boost in order to escape, or you can use, for example, the Necrolord ability in order not to be moved. However, if you have 2 mobs at once trying to pull you, and they hit you, you will immediately die unless you have something that roots you in place. So a possible strategy is just to wait during phase 2 until the mob actually hits you, and then continue the fight if you want to play it safe. For Dormazain, you need 580k DPS. Ner'zhul has a bump that will bump you backwards. Therefore, you want to be on the edge of the platform looking outwards, so you are bumped back to the center. Note that if there is a torso, and the boss is sub 30%, there will be another explosion, so make sure to get near the torso before it explodes. There is also a bump that you need to dodge. However, you can also hit the boss very hard and he will not cast his abilities. For Roh-kalo, you cannot do the intermission solo. So you will have to kill him after he finishes his cast, and he will deal a lot of damage, but nothing that you can't manage at your level. Then Kel'thuzad. Now this one is the trickiest boss in the expansion. His first ability, which is easy to manage, is his tank ability. He will spawn 5 images and you have a 1 minute debuff. If the debuff ends, you die. So you have to kill the images and get your soul back. For the transition, first kill the 3 banshees. Then, on the abominations, you want to summon a guardian. Basically anything that will stay upstairs while you go downstairs. For most classes, the best item for that is the Mirror of the Blade Master, which you can get in Hellfire Citadel. If you cannot use it, you can use mirror images, you can use Shaman Wolves, and other abilities. If you really don't have anything, you will need to be renowned 60 with the Necrolords in order to have access to Kevin's Oozling, which summons a little ooze which will tank the Az for you while you go downstairs. If you need more details or you are still struggling, then check the guide in the description for normal and heroic, which is more detailed. By the way, if you go downstairs without killing the banshees first, they will deal massive damage when you get back up, so you can do it, just be careful. Finally, Sylvanas. She is actually quite easy. During the transition, kill the arrows. During phase 2, you can just pick one of the 2 paths and do as if you were doing it on heroic. Note that the Az that you don't kill will start dealing increasing damage, but you should be able to survive. The only danger in phase 3 are the bumps. If you see them coming, either get off the platform or use something to get back on. The next raid is Sepulcher of the First Ones. This one actually has some gear checks, however Xy'mox isn't one of them. His tank debuff really hurts, and you have to avoid the traps like in Nathria. However, the difficult part of this fight are the circles. Now, for the middle circles, you just have to DPS him hard in order to face him before it hits you. The issue is the rings from the platforms. This isn't complicated, you just want to stand as far as possible from the platforms and it will not hit you. The second safe spot is near the first one and is quite easy. Just be careful, for the third safe spot, if you get the boss near the entrance, he will despawn. Halondrus has two mechanics. First, he will spawn bombs. If all 3 bombs explode at the same time, you will die. So you want to grab one bomb, put it down, grab a second bomb, and also put it down. This is because once the first bomb explodes, the other 2 bombs will disappear, so you will survive. Then, during the transition, you will see ores that will explode. When they explode, they bump you, so just make sure not to be bumped off the platform. Now, as I said, I will not go into details when the strategy is simply have good gear, use defensives, use fleshcraft if you're a Necrolord, or use your healing potions and stuff like that. However, there are many bosses in Sepulcher, such as Dausegne, which hit really hard. So you must be ready to use your defensives. For the prototype Pantheon, you want to kill the 4 of them at the same time. So in phase 1, you want to get the 2 bosses at 40% at around the same time. The prototype of war puts a healing absorb on you. You can heal it off, but you can also use the Necrolord absorb since it isn't affected. The other bosses will put a stacking dot on you, so between the healing absorb and the stacking dot, you have to kill them before they kill you, so it's both a DPS and survivability check. So just keep your DPS cooldown for the end and kill all 4 of them at once and you win. Now, Anduin. Anduin has an intermission that really hurts, because you're supposed to have a 90% damage reduction. Therefore, there is only one simple way to do this boss, and that is to get him to phase 3 without him doing the intermission. For that, you will need 780k DPS. Just hit him very hard, and he won't do any of his dangerous abilities. Also, just make sure to dodge stuff, because it will either despawn the boss or silence you, which will reduce your damage. For the Lords of Dread, after 2 minutes, Kael'thas will perma-stun you. However, it is extremely easy to kill her before that, especially since during the AoE phase, she will take increased damage, so you can just burst her and kill her then. Mal'Ganis does heal himself with his Leeching Claws. However, you should be able to damage him faster than he can heal, and if you have a healing reduction, you can use it on him. Rygelon is the hardest boss in the expansion. This is because he has a one-shot mechanic. First, get him to the edge and kill the ads before they reach the boss. When he summons orbs, those orbs will put 6 stacks of debuff on you. If you get a 7th stack, you die. Therefore, when the second set of orbs spawn, go inside a void zone to go to the downstairs phase. As long as you are downstairs, you will not be killed. However, as soon as you go up, you will die, so make sure to always stand on the last void zone that spawned. This way, you can be sure that as soon as you get out, you get back in immediately. If you can manage 940k DPS, the strategy is actually quite easy. Just do this and he will die before you do. If you do not have enough DPS, you're going to have to do the hard strategy. For this, you want to enter the down phase at the last possible moment once you have the circle around you. Then, you want the last void zone to despawn as late as possible, so you will have to slow down the last add. If you manage to keep it for last and enter it before it despawns, you will have to make sure to kill the unstable matter in order to enter phase 2 and go in one of the small circles. This will allow you to go into phase 2, which will give you more time to kill the boss before you die, and therefore, in order to kill this boss with the house strategy, you will need around 600k DPS. Finally, there is the Jailer. He's extremely easy if you hit him hard enough, but if not, you might find him hard. So this is a boss where if you're undergeared, you might really struggle. First, the bombs. You just want to jump when there are less than 2 seconds remaining, and make sure not to have your back to another hole. Also, you will want to hide when he casts his mind control. Note that his second tank combo will kill you. However, you only need 530k DPS in order to avoid it, or you'll need an immunity. However, the biggest obstacle on this fight is the mind control. He will put an absurd shield on you, and he does not deal enough damage in order to break the shield, so you will jump to your death. There are 2 ways to avoid the shield. The first one is to have something that deals damage to you. For example, I am using a trinket that deals 1 million damage to me over 10 seconds. And also making sure that the boss melees me is enough to break the MC. However, that trinket is from Tarragrue Mythic, so you probably won't have it. So the more usual strategy is simply to hit him extremely hard. You will need a massive burst because it's not enough to get him to 30%. My theory is that you have to get him to 30% before he starts casting his phase 2 abilities. Okay, so step by step. During phase 1, go on the Azurit paddles on the floor in order to gain a damage buff. The buff will stack up to 6 times. He will phase at 60%. Keep your cooldowns and use them right before he transitions. Note that you have to hide during the transition, therefore, if you have something that allows you to in your line of sight, or you have an immunity, make sure to keep hitting him and maximize your damage. Now you can use potions, you can use bloodlust, you can use drums, because according to my calculations, you will need about 1,000,005k DPS during 20 seconds. And finally, you just want to now kill the boss before he casts his Meteor Cleave. If he does cast it, make sure not to be bumped off the platform. And that's it! You have soloed the entirety of Shadowlands. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to put them in the comments. I tried, as I said, to do a very short guide, but if I missed anything, just ask. Thank you for watching, and goodbye!